Hey guys, welcome back to Fam Sports Patriots. Today we're going to talk about the top five draft needs for New England. So I think the top need was definitely Mike Vrabel, and I think that Mike Vrabel is going to have to draft, or they're going to have to draft around the scheme that Mike Vrabel is going to bring in, and obviously I think McDaniels is going to be there too as the OC. So, and I've been talking about Mike Vrabel coming into the New England Patriots for the last year. So I do think that this is definitely a well-needed thing, but these are going to be the top five draft needs for Mike Vrabel. First of all, you have to go O-line. I don't know, with this draft being O-line heavy, I don't know if you go and you reach for someone in with that fourth pick. If we have an opportunity to trade back and say we did end up with T. Higgins or somebody in free agency and we didn't need a McMillan, I think that we're going to have to trade back to get that offensive line. I think to reach for an offensive lineman at 4, I think is utter insanity. And I do think that there's going to be a really good opportunity to trade with the Dallas Cowboys at that point, especially if they hire Deion Sanders, because I really feel like they're going to end up getting rid of Dak, going off after Shador, and that's the only way Deion's going to coach. So the Cowboys could end up trading up to that 4 spot. We can get a decent return, I do feel. So kind of pay attention for that. So I think our number one need is our offensive line. But then there's then there's 1B. So our second need, which I would call 1B, which is just as needed as the offensive lineman, would be your wide receiver. Go out and get McMillan if he's available, and you're not getting the return for that 4 pick that you think you're going to get. Because those offensive linemen, going back to 1, the offensive linemen are so deep in that draft. You could end up with all-pro offensive linemen probably in round 3 in this draft. So it would probably behoove us to get rid of that 4 pick and go after and go get that go get two more 2s or a couple 2s and a 3, especially if we're only dropping down to where Dallas is at. Not a horrible drop, and there's still going to be players available at that Dallas pick. So pay attention to that. Number 2, like I said, is going to be wide receiver. Wide receiver in this draft is not as heavy as last draft or some of the other drafts that we did see, but there is some hidden talent there. I think you got your big names, you got your McMillans and stuff, but if you go deeper in, I think you're going to be able to find one of those guys that is a very good pick. Like, look at Ladd McConkey, that has panned out, and some of these other guys. And as a Patriot fan, you guys know that our receivers aren't these big flashy receivers unless they're named Randy Moss. That was the one guy we brought in. Was it successful? I don't know, because we didn't get a ring. We went undefeated, but we didn't get a ring. So I mean, it's a trade-off. You're going to have those flashy receivers, and we have cap space, so we can bring these guys in from free agency for the years they want. And we know they're kind of they're established. They're not. We reach so many times on the receiver room. We just need a solid body in there that we know they're going to resonate around and create a really good core. That's what we had with Edelman. That's what we had with Welker. I mean, that's what we had with Moss. You had that one guy. And Edelman, I mean, anywhere else, Edelman's not what Edelman was. Welker, I mean, he was solid with the Broncos. I think he was very good with the Broncos, but his best years were in New England. And that would bring me to number 3, edge rushing. Edge rushing is going to be huge because we're going to need help with Keion White. Keion White, they're moving around quite a bit. I don't think you're going to see that with Vrabel. I think Vrabel's going to have Keion White be on the edge, and you're going to watch him drop back into coverage. He's got really good feet, and he's going to watch that flat routes because we got burned on those flats consistently all year, and that's going to have to be something that Keion White does. I wouldn't say a lot of really good edge guys, so I wouldn't reach on an edge guy. You got Kuntz that could play, and we could go out and get. I think he's a solid guy. He's never really got a shot. Very injured. So if we can keep him healthy, I think he would be a great add in free agency. I do think if the draft is there and it sets up, we're at the point where our roster is so bad where we just take the best player available, and if our edge guy's there and we're not reaching a lot, I think we have to go out and get one. Number 4, I would say the D tackle position. We don't know when Barmore is going to come back, if he ever does come back. blood clots are a very serious thing. So I hope he gets healthy before he even tries to come back and tries to come back again. So what I'm proposing is going out and getting one of those big guys just to fill the gaps. You can find those big guys at the end of the draft. You're looking at probably your fifth, your sixth. We've done a lot of mock drafts here. You guys have seen a couple of them, and you're seeing consistently some of these bigger defensive tackles be available in the later rounds. So I think we have to go out and get one of those D tackles and in the later rounds just to kind of fill where Barmore was. Are we ever going to get another Christian Barmore? Absolutely not. Amazing individual, great player, and hopefully, like the Eagles have had some really good luck with their defensive line, just kind of falling into their lap. So, and also defensive entirely. I think the Philadelphia Eagles' defense has been based off the NFL's dumb draft strategy. So I think that that could potentially happen with the Patriots and the pick we're sitting in too. So, but we just can't reach. We can't get excited. But D tackle is definitely our number 4. And number 5, this is going to be the most controversial. I think we need a running back. With the new Mike Vrabel offense, it's going to be a very Jim Harbaugh-like offense where you're pounding the ball, and we rebuild that offensive line. I mean, Mike Vrabel is better with the clock than anybody else in the league. Mike Vrabel is the only coach to stick it to Bill Belichick when it comes to the clock. So I don't foresee that changing. Mike Vrabel's a very smart individual when it comes to running clock management. I don't think is going to be an issue. And in order to have good clock management, you got to have a good running back. This running back, I'm not saying going out and getting Genty. I don't think that's the right move. I think he's going to be a great player, but I don't think he's going to fit this scheme. You're going to have to go out and get like a Henry or somebody that caliber, like who's just going to lower his shoulder and get you your 3 to 4 yards and then break one every once in a while. I don't see anybody like that in this draft unless you can get Skipoo. And if with the bowl game he had, I think that he's going to probably go a little bit higher than what I would want to get him for. I don't think I'd take him in the second round. I'd probably, if he fell to the third, I think it would be a good pick. But that's what I mean is we need to load up on that second to third round picks, even if it costs us that fourth and McMillan. McMillan looks great McMillan looked great in college, but so did Harrison. Harrison Jr., he fooled me. And I think there's great years to come for him. And once he finds the right quarterback to get him the ball, I think everything's going to change. You're going to see a lot of difference. But I've always said wide receivers can make bad quarterbacks look good. Look at Dante Culpepper. Look at Brad Johnson. Look at, and I'm just naming Randy Moss quarterbacks. But, I mean, these receivers have the capability of making a bad quarterback look good by the way they catch the ball, the way they run their routes, and they can make up for that. Good quarterbacks can't make wide receivers good, if that makes sense, because they're not out there catching the ball. They can hit them in the chest, and we've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen more drop passes this year than I've ever seen. I watch football with my kid all the time, and he's always complaining. You're watching it bounce off their shoulder pads, off their chest. Like you catch that with your hands and get out and then tuck and go. But these guys are, you're watching them bounce off the pads and stuff. It's just been really crazy as far as receivers go. And Malik Neighbors is one of the few receivers that came out and just absolutely dominated this year for a really bad Giants team. So I don't think that having to put all your stock into a McMillan, but T. Higgins and something like that would be ideal. So those are my top 5 draft needs. I'll elaborate more on later videos, but I just want to kind of get that out there. I would say O-line, wide receiver, edge, D-tackle, and running backs. And then next week we'll kind of go into each one of those and go over some of the O-linemen and go over some of the wide receivers that we would like to see picked up in the draft. And then if you don't see that video, just check out some of my drafts, my mock drafts, because I kind of elaborate in there too. All right, thank you guys for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys again.